Okay, I am so sure that you guys are probably getting sick of Hamilton, but I so am not. And before I started this second video that I was making, I found what's his name, Lin-Manuel recording one last time at the White House. So this is a live recording of this is the guy who plays Hamilton and the guy who plays George Washington. And since we've been listening to them quite a bit, I thought it would be fun for you guys to see what they actually look like. They performed this at the White House. I think it was about a year ago. Oh, okay, it was in January of 2017. So they performed it at the White House, and this is the last time that Washington is getting ready to address the nation, and this is like his farewell address. So this is kind of just to wrap up what we've been talking about with the whole presidency with Washington. So as you watch this video, just kind of keep that in mind, and I'm going to be really nice and not make you guys write anything down, but you do have to be quiet and don't put your heads down. So I want you to at least pretend like you think this is just as cool as I think it is.
You asked to see me. I know you're busy. What do you need, sir? Sir? I want to give you a word of warning. Sir, I don't know what you heard, but whatever it is, Jefferson started it. Thomas Jefferson resigned this morning. You're kidding. I need a favor. Whatever you say, sir. Jefferson will pay for his behavior. Talk less. I'll use the press. I'll write under a pseudonym. You'll see what I can do to him. I need you to draft the draft. Yes, he resigned. You can finally speak your mind. No. He's stepping down so he can run for president. Good luck defeating you, sir. I'm stepping down. I'm not running for president. I'm sorry, what? One last time. Relax, have a drink with me one last time. Let's take a break tonight, and then we'll teach them how to say goodbye. To say goodbye, you and I. No, sir, why? I want to talk about neutrality, sir, with Britain and France on the verge of war. I want to warn against partisan fighting. Start writing. I want to talk about what I have learned, the hard-won wisdom I have earned. As far as the people are concerned, you have to serve. You could continue to serve. No, one last time. The people will hear from me one last time. And if we get this right, we're going to teach them how to say goodbye. You and President, they will say you're weak. No. They will see we're strong. Your position is so unique, so I'll use it to move them along. Why do you have to say goodbye? If I say goodbye, the nation learns to move on. It outlives me when I'm gone. The scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine. Victory, no one shall make them afraid. They'll be safe in the nation we've made. I want to sit under my own vine and victory, a moment alone in the shade. At home, this nation we've made. One last time. One incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error. I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects, not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. I shall also carry with me the hope that my country will view them with indulgence. But after 45 years of my life dedicated to its service with an upright zeal, the faults of incompetent abilities will be consigned to oblivion. As I myself must soon be to the mansions of rest. I anticipate with pleasing expectation that retreat in which I promised myself to realize the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens, the benign influence of good laws under a free government, the ever-favorite object of my heart. Reward as I trust of unusual cares, labors, and danger. Teach him how to say goodbye. You and I going home. History has its eyes on you, yeah. We're gonna teach him how to say goodbye. Teach him how to say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye one last time.
Okay, so obviously that was recorded the last week that Obama was in the White House. This was kind of like a tribute that they did for him. But anyway, I just thought that it would be really good for you guys to see that. And it is important for you guys to understand that during this time, it was a big deal for the people because this is their leader that they have had. It's George Washington. This is... they haven't known any other leader in America, and for him to voluntarily step down sets the precedent for every other president to follow, and that's why it's so important to understand, is because he comes in and he governs a nation, and then he is the one who voluntarily steps down. Like Hamilton says in there, he could have kept on running for president, and he probably would have won for the rest of his life, but he, specifically Washington, wanted to make sure that the people knew that this was not going to be a monarchy and this was going to be a presidency instead. So I thought that was super cool for you guys to be able to see. So from there, all my stuff I've got up. We are going to go into the Alien and Sedition Acts. Now, this is, so I know we just were talking about Washington, but now we're jumping back to Adams, so I'm sorry if it gets a little confusing that we're all over the place. But if you'll remember from the last video, we finished off talking about the XYZ affair. That's when when the French are just like, okay, we don't want to meet with you, and America's like, okay, well, we don't want to be with the French either anymore. So the Alien and Sedition Acts is kind of the second thing that happens during Adams' presidency. And this is basically when these Federalists, remember Federalists in favor of big government, so they were supporting the British, they were really starting to think that French spies were everywhere. They knew the French weren't very happy with them, and they felt like the French had sent spies all over the place to try and figure out what America was doing. So they, especially the Democratic Republican Party, is kind of getting a bad rap. These Federalists think that the the French spies are coming in to America and joining the Democratic Republican Party. Now, if you remember, the Democratic Republican Party is Jefferson's party. So this is kind of when the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans really start to pit against each other as political parties, rather than just before they were more just disagreeing on the Constitution. So now the political parties are starting to pit themselves against each other. The Democratic Republicans feel that the Federalists are too pro-British, and that's really where they start to get angry at the Federalists. The Democratic Republicans are just saying that, hey, we broke away from the British, why are you still trying to help them out? And they're the ones who are just trying to say, we need to take a step back and just be all pro-American and, stay away from the big government stuff. The Federalists get so upset about this that they create the Alien and Sedition Acts. Now, this does come out under Adams' presidency, and so he is kind of the leader of this whole Alien and Sedition Acts. So, the Alien and Sedition Acts is it's a series of 4 measures that they put in place, and the first 3 are really just trying to make it so the citizenship has to be 14 years old. At this time, you also had to own land as well, specifically to vote, and so there are other requirements to become a citizen, but they did change the requirement to 14 years old. It also allowed the president to deport or jail any alien considered undesirable. Now, please understand, this is not little green alien from Mars. This is alien as in somebody who is from a different country. So basically, it gave the president any power to go and deport and basically just say, hey, you know what, you haven't actually done anything wrong, but I believe that maybe you have, with or without evidence. And the president now has that power. The 4th measure, that's supposed to say 4th, not 4. So right there should say 4. But the 4th measure is the Sedition Act. And what that did is it created fines or put people in jail if they ever tried to stall what the government was doing or express opinions against against the government. So basically, if you were to publish something in a newspaper that the government didn't agree with, then they could put you in jail and fine you. The government is run by Federalists at this point. That's pretty much who's been elected. And so, anybody who had anything against the Federalist Party, which is mostly the Democratic Republicans, are the ones who are being put into jail. And their main argument is that this is a violation of the First Amendment. So the Democratic Republicans come in and say, hey guys, this is so not fair. You are totally violating our First Amendment, part of our Bill of Rights, that we should have a freedom of speech. So right now what I want you guys to do is I need you guys to write down what you think about this. I know we went through it really quickly, but just think about what it would be like today if the president said, okay, from here on out, nobody is allowed to publish anything that it is against my presidency. It could even be something just against the Republican Party, since that is the party of Donald Trump. I want you to write down how you would feel if the Alien and Sedition Acts were put in place today. So is it right for the government to restrict what is being written, published, and spoken? And is that, more specifically, is it okay if it's being put in place because the people are rebelling? That's kind of why the Alien and Sedition Acts are used, is because the people are rebelling, and so they're trying to do something to keep them not to rebel, I guess. But really, I want you guys to think about it. Is it right for a government to do that, even if they think they have the best interests of the people at heart? And do you think this really was a violation of the First Amendment? So if I can have the sub pause the video right there for about 2 minutes, that should give you guys time. I want you to write down what it is that you think about the Alien and Sedition Acts, and then turn with your neighbor and talk to them about it. Okay, hopefully you wrote some things down, had a good conversation, but at this point we are going to stop the video. So the rest of class, however much time is left, you need to be working on your study guide. I will give you guys time to do that again on Monday, but right now I want you to start working on it. Hopefully you won't have too much of it to be homework, but spend the rest of the time working on your study guide. Remember that you cannot be sharing each other's answers. I don't care if you work together and listen to music, but you should not be copying each other's answers. And I promise, I see it when you guys are doing it, and I take away points because I saw a bunch of you doing it the last couple of days on your work. So I will be taking away points to those people. So don't be copying down each other's answers. All right, be awesome for the sub, and I will see you guys on Tuesday.